Do you know who is the largest gladiator of them all? Gluteus Maximus.
Hey, shh.
Welcome back to Not Another Needless Sequel, where we watch movies and propose unnecessary prequels, sequels, reboots, and remakes. My name is Kane. With me, as always, is my co-host, my wife, and the person I would battle a Roman emperor for, Kelsey.
My name is Kelsey, wife of a podcast host, weekly guest on a podcast about movies, and I will come up with more needless sequels in this life or the next.
Well, I upgraded you to co-host today.
I wasn't anticipating that when I wrote this, but
Congratulations on your promotion.
I appreciate that, actually. Did you like my line?
I did.
Yeah, you did.
So this week we thought about the Roman Empire with 2000's Gladiator. So what do you think the story was?
A guy named Maximus is an army general who is betrayed by the new Roman emperor because he didn't like him, and his family is murdered, and it's about vengeance.
So the opening scene is showing you Russell Crowe's character Maximus as a general leading his army in the end of this war that they've been having, and he's planning to return home. That opening battle scene was filmed in Bourne Woods in Surrey, England. The Royal Forestry Commission had originally slated that area for deforestation, and Sir Ridley Scott eagerly offered them his facilities to burn the woods to the ground. And the commission obviously happily accepted, so they didn't have to do it, but that was so they could really just fucking destroy that area for that scene.
Oh my gosh.
But it was a cool scene. Like, I feel like it makes you feel like, wow, what a good general, and like, what a great battle.
Yeah, the beginning of the movie is just establishing that he's a great general and everybody kind of respects him, including the current emperor,
Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah,
so much so that he wants Maximus to be the next emperor because he speaks about Rome being corrupt instead of his son Commodus, who's played by Joaquin Phoenix. And Maximus doesn't really want that. Like I said, he wants to go home. That's like his main thing. He's just like, I just want to go home and see my wife. He
hasn't been home in 2 years, 264 days.
Yes, he says exactly the time. That's one of the notes that I have, is that I thought like somehow that very minor dialogue like created a real like sense of purpose for him, and you really wanted him to win because he's like talks about his home, what it smells like in the day, what it smells like at night, his wife, his kid. He knows exactly how long he's been gone. He says 2 years, 264 days, and this morning.
I do feel when Marcus Aurelius does offer him to become the next Caesar, because Marcus is like, I'm dying, we all know this, and I want you to do it, and he just said that he needed time to think about it. I truly think he would have accepted because of how much he loved and respected Marcus Aurelius, but as we find out, Commodus finds out about this and murders his father.
Yeah, he smothers him in like anger.
Correct.
And Maximus tries to like call it out and say what he's done, but he's obviously Commodus asks for his loyalty, to which Maximus ignores him, leading to Maximus being taken to be executed. And he begs this guy that's been like working with him in the war to protect his family, and that guy lets him know, hey, your family will meet you in the afterlife, buddy.
Yeah, and so he ends up killing the people who were going to kill him, but by the time he makes it home, his wife and son have been brutally murdered, and then other things have occurred to them, and hung and burned alive.
And somehow all that feels like almost just the intro to the movie, but it sets up this really exciting like man on the run, kind of like needing to clear your name thing.
Yeah, it does. And he buries his wife and son, and he just lays in the dirt next to them, and is then subsequently found and picked up as a slave.
Yeah, and he's sold to a guy named Proximo that has just a whole bunch of people that he puts in these gladiator fights, and they start doing like local fights and stuff, obviously being an actual trained general, not somebody just that they found on the street. He doesn't die as easily as some of the other people do, because that's really the point of this, is they don't care if they win, they just want them to die for entertainment.
And I will say Marcus Aurelius had outlawed gladiator fights in Rome, so nobody had used the Colosseum for that, and Commodus is bringing it back, which is how Maximus is going to make his way back to Rome.
Yeah, because he's doing all these fights, and they end up being like, you're good enough to, we're going to go to Rome and do these bigger fights. And he gains like this name, the Spaniard, because nobody knows who he is. He has a tattoo on his arm, SPQR. It stands for Senatus Papaluski. I can't say it. Romanus. It translates to the Senate and the Roman people, and that was one of the main slogans of Rome throughout its history, and it can still be seen in modern times on manhole covers, but they see that and they think that he is just a traitor and like left the army, and he ends up like scratching it off because obviously he doesn't feel the love for Rome anymore after everything that's happened.
He also doesn't tell anybody who he is until a very significant point of the movie, which we'll get to here in a little bit, which is the line, my opening line, and it's one of the most iconic lines in, I think, movie history.
Definitely a lot of people know that line, but he ends up going to these Rome tournaments, obviously is killing it. He's wearing a mask, and even though Commodus is there, nobody knows who he is until, because he does so well, Commodus wants to go meet this gladiator, and he goes down into the ring to meet him.
And this is the line. Maximus turns his back to Commodus when he refuses to introduce himself, and Commodus is like, how dare you turn your back on the Caesar or something, and forces him to introduce himself. And at that point, Maximus turns around and takes his mask off, and he says, my name is Maximus Decimus Meridius. He's the general to the Roman army, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and he'll have his vengeance in this life or the next. And Commodus is so shocked, one, that he's alive, but two, I feel like at that point I also noticed him have fear in his eyes.
Yeah, and he knows that he feels that he can't kill Maximus just right there because the crowd, and he is doing this entire Colosseum thing because he says, I'm going to give them a victory. He has a discussion with his sister where they loved his father because of this war and all the victories, and so he can't kill the people's champion.
Because it would make Maximus a martyr. And all of the people also know that Maximus was the general and basically won them the war for Rome.
Yeah, he was popular as the general as well.
Yeah.
In those scenes where they have, this huge crowd in the Colosseum, they have real life extras, but they also have digital extras and 400 cardboard cutouts of spectators that they would like move around for the scene to make, the
I didn't
Colosseum.
even notice that.
It's far enough away that you wouldn't notice the cardboard ones or anything. But obviously, he's not going to allow Maximus to do this or, insult him. So he sets up this fight with this guy that's never lost, Tigris of Gaul. And
he's the gladiator, yeah.
He wins. I mean,
Maximus wins.
That guy doesn't fucking stand a chance. And he's supposed to, like, kill the guy at the end. The whole crowd is like, kill him. And he doesn't. And they start calling him Maximus the Merciful. They do this whole thing where Commodus puts out, like, his thumb. I mean, the crowd's doing it, too. They're pointing their thumb down to say, like, kill him. It's actually a common misconception that a Roman emperor would put his thumb upwards to signify that a gladiator was to be spared, and the thumb down meant that there'd be no mercy for the down gladiator. In reality, it was the other way around. A thumb up symbolized a sword action, meaning death, and thumb down, a sheathed sword, meaning mercy.
I think Commodus put his thumb up to kill.
No, they did it the other way, because the crew knew about this, and they just thought, nah, that's confusing, we'll just do it. Thumbs up means good, you're alive. Thumbs down is dead.
Oh, so did Commodus tell Maximus to kill the guy?
Yes. That was another act of defiance.
Okay, that's what I thought. Maximus.
He was like, no, I'm not.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we were on the same page there, because I was like, I'm pretty sure he told him to kill Tigris.
Yeah, he did, but
and Maximus was like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. And so that plan doesn't work out. He ends up kind of scheming with Lucilla, who is Commodus' sister, and Gracchus, which is one of the senators. They have this plan where he's going to escape. He's going to lead the men that are still loyal to him back. They're going to take back over, and then he's going to give Rome to the Senate, because Commodus' plan is to get rid of the Senate and just be him and his family. He's also talking about his sister giving him an heir, and it's going to be pure blood. He just really loses it towards the end of this movie. He
Joffrey's for sure.
I think people won't like this, but I felt in the very beginning, before he kills his father, before he does everything, while I think he's obviously does seem like a coward and not showing up to the battle and all that, I felt bad for him because he was like, my father gave me this list of virtues, none of my virtues were on there, nothing I'm good at he cared about, and that was sad. But then he kills his father, and then
I don't think it was sad. I think it was just going to show that he wasn't a good person.
But that's according to his father, if he wasn't born in that role, it's like this thing where you're like, for example, someone might be like, my father is really good with tools, he's a handyman, that kind of thing. I never was into that kind of stuff, and so my father always thought of me as less of a man. I was really into music, I could play an instrument. My father thought that wasn't very manly. That's more of a modern way of saying it, but that's how I felt it was at first. He didn't like him because he wasn't the kind of man that he felt he should be. And that's not right. But then he kills him. So immediately that idea is thrown out. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
you're horrible.
I will say Commodus finds out about the plan from Lucius, which is Lucilla's son, because he had heard a whispering, and then he whispered in Commodus's ear. They catch Maximus and basically put him in prison, and the entire plan falls apart.
Yes, and so then they set up this fight where it's going to be Commodus versus Maximus. Commodus is going to win so that he can regain the people's trust. And
because all the people, quote, love gladiators.
Yes, and so the way he's going to do that is he stabs Maximus before the fight even starts.
In the back.
They, cover up the wound so that the people supposedly can't tell he's wounded. He goes out there, he's weakened, he's bleeding to death, he's already, hallucinating about the afterlife. But he ends up overpowering him because he disarms him, and none of the soldiers suddenly want to help Commodus. They're just like, oh, well, it's a fight. Commodus dies. Maximus begs the crowd for, reform and to change things, and then he dies and goes on with his family. Mel Gibson was offered the lead role and turned it down also. And I'm bringing that up at the end here because I wanted to say, I thought he did an amazing job as this character. It's one of his favorite characters I've heard. But Mel Gibson turned it down at 43. He felt he was too old to play him. And Russell Crowe was 35 when he filmed it. I think he seems the right age, but also fuck Mel Gibson. So I'm glad that he played it. I think he did a great job. I think it's one of the best roles I've ever seen him in. I mean, I gave the movie a 5 out of 5. It's a long one, but it's always just...
It's not a slow burn either. I feel like it kind of pops off from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean,
It's very intriguing and enthralling, and it kind of hooks you in.
Mm-hmm. And when I'm watching it, that's how I feel. I always feel like I am just so on the edge of my seat, even though I know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I also gave it a 5 out of 5, and I feel like it's intriguing to the point that he only took 3 notes.
Yeah, I only took 3 notes the whole movie because I was just like...
And I didn't talk about none of my notes.
Okay, so who would win in a fight in a gladiator arena?
With gladiator weapons.
Yes.
No special weapons, nothing.
Anything that you saw in the movie, they can use.
And that's it.
Yes.
Okay.
Katniss Everdeen versus Maximus.
Maximus. Easy.
No.
What?
Definitely not.
You don't think Maximus would win?
No. Katniss would win.
No, she wouldn't.
Yeah, she would.
No, she wouldn't.
Yeah, she would.
No. Because he already showed he can block but arrows that are being shot at him.
How many can you block? Because she'll pull them off.
They'll be out.
I guess it is a small arena, though. And once he closes the distance...
Correct.
That's a problem for her.
Uh-huh.
Adonis Creed versus Maximus.
Maximus. Easy.
I think Adonis Creed's got reflexes Maximus is not prepared for. You're dodging a quick fist. You think you can't dodge a slow sword?
They're using... No.
He's going to dodge it.
No, he's not.
And he's not worried about the distance. He wants him in there.
Mm.
All him. Absolutely. Batman versus Maximus.
Who was Batman trained by? Which Batman?
Your choice.
No, which one? I need one.
Okay, then Robert Pattinson.
I feel like Maximus could beat a Robert Pattinson Batman, but a Batman that was raised by the League of Assassins would beat Maximus.
But remember that they shot that Batman with a machine gun point blank in that movie.
Correct, but you don't have all of those things. You don't have the Batman armor.
I guess you're right. I'm still going Batman. The Bride from Kill Bill versus Maximus.
Who's the bride?
The main character, Uma Thurman, and she's...
Oh, Kill Bill. Easy.
Absolutely.
She would just go...
Yeah. Do the heart thing?
Yeah. Dead. 3 steps, dead.
Okay, John Wick versus Maximus.
Easy.
Yeah. I mean, he, killed a man with a pencil.
He did.
So, Gladiator 2 was released last week. I've heard the story centers on Lucius, and it says that's the son of Lucilla and Maximus. I don't know anything more about that. I never figured it out. But what's your sequel?
I don't know what it's about either, because I kind of read, the synopsis, the 3-line synopsis, and I couldn't... Maybe we just missed it in the movie when he was... But I just refuse to believe he didn't strike me as the type of guy that would just abandon his son if he had a kid with her. And it seemed like their kids were roughly the same age, and she said that she had a husband, he was just dead.
Yeah.
And they didn't have sex in this movie, they kissed.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know either. My sequel is called Gladiator the Musical.
Okay.
What?
Nothing.
So I think that it'd basically be a soft reboot, remake of a musical, and I think the musical style should be like Les Mis,
Yeah.
where every single word is a song. I don't think that this movie has tons of words.
Yeah, relatively, I guess, he's a quiet character.
He's a quiet character, and I think that, his gladiator friends, the really, really famous scene in Les Mis where that kid, we can see the people sing, that song I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I think that could be done in a version of that when they're all preparing to fight, when they're trying to help Maximus escape.
Okay.
I do think it'd be pretty funny if Russell Crowe and Joaquin played Gladiator and Commodus still, though. If there was a way to make them look younger, or
to use their extensive singing careers.
Because, it's just funny because Joaquin was in Walk the Line and he sang in something else, and then Russell Crowe was the general in Les Mis. So I think that it should be Les Mis. I don't think
Can we get Lady Gaga in here somehow?
No.
Well, then I'm not in.
You're not in?
I'm not sold.
I don't know who would play the other people, but my point...
Lady Gaga?
No. I don't think that she'd be a good fit for Lucilla.
No, she could be Gracchus.
Oh my gosh. I think I chose to do... Number one, I've never done something like that. And number two, I think this movie was so good that trying to do a sequel, at least in my mind... I don't think that there was I realized that this is about needless sequels, but I don't think anything needed to be changed. I don't think there needed to be a follow-up or anything like that. And so I wouldn't change anything, but just make it a musical.
Perfect. Mine's called Gladiator, Pit Fight of the Caesar.
Okay.
It's the first movie remade as a musical, but as if it were a play being put on in the world of Gladiator to showcase their own true history.
Oh my gosh.
Russell Crowe.
Why are you always stealing my ideas? I questioned if I was going to make it like a Broadway play in acts.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I feel like Les Mis is a very, very popular movie. And I enjoyed that movie a lot more than you did. But I think if you did this, it wouldn't be as long as Les Mis.
Yeah.
So it would be like the perfect length.
Technically, mine is still happening in their world. So it's a sequel like that. It's a play being put on in Roman times. Russell Crowe and Joaquin Phoenix would return for voice roles for singing, with hit songs such as I Will Return Home, the opening.
Oh, gosh.
Something akin to Hercules, like I've often dreamed
of a far-off place.
Who is to be the emperor? That'll be the next song.
Oh my, you've come up with an entire soundtrack? Yeah. I love it.
I didn't think of what the song... I'm not a musical person like that, but who is to be the emperor? You'd have everybody, like, saying the faults of everyone that is offered to be emperor. Bend the Knee, that would be...
Took that from Game of Thrones.
That would be showing Marcus Aurelius' death and Commodus trying to get Maximus on his side. A Soldier's Sorrow, that would be everything. A very sad song of him seeing his family dead. The Spaniard, that would be...
him fighting.
Yeah, that song would be like, bless my soul, Herc was on a roll.
Then it'd be a montage of him...
Yeah, winning.
Winning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wanna guess what the scenes are. Based off the titles.
Okay, the next song is Who Is He?
Oh, it's his reveal after he wins and Commodus wants to know who it is.
Yes.
And it'll be like, Maximus!
I think that song would be like Les Mis when they are, Hugh Jackman and Russell Crowe are like singing separately. Like something like that. Late Night Lucilla is a song.
Oh, that's when him and Lucilla meet up and make their plans. And it'll be like in Hercules, Meg... Whenever she's in love with... Oh, that's one of the best Disney song of all time.
I Won't Say I'm in Love.
Yeah. No.
And then Maximus versus Commodus is the last song.
Oh, when that's the final fight.
That one would almost be less words and more like just an epic like orchestra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
Anyway,
that's a really good idea.
We didn't plan to both do musicals. Promise.
We never plan, and I feel like we have similar sequels a lot of times. Like, the bones are there, but the way we go with it is different.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for listening. We do so appreciate it. If you want to talk movies with us, you can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Letterboxd, Threads, and Twitter. We are NansPod everywhere.
NansPod?
If you'd like to vote on whose sequel idea was the best, come by our YouTube channel for the polls, or let us know your idea with a comment, or you can reach us at needlesssequel@gmail.com. Links, as always, will be wherever you are listening. If I could ask you for one thing, it's to share our show with someone and leave us a review. That is how we get new listeners. Of course, I also ask that you come back for more needless sequels. Next week, we're preparing for Moana 2 by watching Moana on Disney+.
Ah, such a good one.
It is. I'm excited about that one.
Me too.
So today, I want to close with a portion of Marva's funeral monologue from Andor. There's a wound that won't heal at the center of the galaxy. There's a darkness reaching like rust into everything around us. We let it grow, and now it's here. It's here, and it's not visiting anymore. It wants to stay. The Empire is a disease that thrives in darkness. It is never more alive than when we sleep. It's easy for the dead to tell you to fight, and maybe it's true. Maybe fighting is useless. Perhaps it's too late, but I'll tell you this. If I could do it again, I'd wake up early and be fighting those bastards from the start. Fight the Empire. All right, take care of yourselves, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Bye!